Folks, decoding amazing Torah, biblical prophecies. Amazing. Put on a seatbelt. You're going to need it. Okay, in the Song of Songs, chapter 4, verse 15. Awake from the north and come from the south. Like the winds, let my exiles return to my garden. This is King Solomon telling us a prophecy of something that's happening, something that's triggered by the north and the south. And that is an amazing. Could this be? We're talking about in our days a war in the north of Israel against the Hezbollah, a war in the south of Israel against Hamas and Gaza. And this being the trigger, the catalyst to bring us back to the land of Israel, those that are not here, and to bring the redemption, bring us back to the Garden of Eden, as it says in the verse. There is, in the south, I believe that there's an elephant in the room. Who is that elephant in the room? Not Hamas, which we might think, but a concealed enemy. That's Egypt. Egypt. Folks, we could talk for a day or so or more. The history of Egypt from the days of Camp David, why did they sign the agreements? The aid that the Egyptians have received over the years, only second to Israel from the United States. Their preparations for war, their threats now. Every other day, they're threatening Israel. If we come into Rafiah, folks, this is big time. We could speak about all the preparations that the Egyptians have been doing for the last couple of years, prepare themselves for war against Israel. Was King Solomon talking about the prophecy that will bring the ingathering of the exiles and the Messiah? Could very well be. We must ask ourselves a question. Why did God plan out to have the exile and redemption from Egypt? It could have been anywhere else in the world. There was a specific reason why Egypt. You know why that is, folks? Because of the fact that we are told in Breshit Rabbah, chapter 19, verse 13. We are told that when the world was created, the divine presence was in this world. Adam and Eve sinned. The divine presence departed one level. Afterwards, Cain sinned, departed one more level, away from the world. Afterwards, the generation of Enosh. Afterwards, the generation of the Tower of Babel destroyed divine presence. It removed itself one more level from our world. And after Tower of Babel, the generation of Sodom and Gomorrah. And last but not least, Egypt. In the times of Abraham, they were the greatest country. They represented sexual immorality more than any other place in the world. That's why they stole Sarah. That was just a small dose of who they really were. So this is an amazing thing. The divine presence left our spheres, 7 spheres. The last stronghold was destroyed by the Egyptians, and therefore there was a need that it would have to come, that the Jewish people would go down to Egypt, and we would return the divine presence into our world. Why? Because in the times of Abraham brought back the divine presence one level, back down, after the Egyptians had destroyed any connection between the divine presence, so to speak, and the world we know as we know it. Abraham brought it down one level. Isaac brought it down. Jacob brought it down. And then Levi brought it down 4 levels to the 4th level. And then his son Kahat brought it down to the 5th level. And then Amram, Moses' father, brought it down to the 6th level. And in the time of Moses and the exodus of Egypt, it was brought down back. The place where the divine presence left the world, it had to come back. It was returned to the same place. That was its tikkun. That was its fixing. So, dearest friends, amazing. We are told by the prophet Micha, chapter 7, verse 15, if we want to understand the future, the last exile, the last redemption, we have to look at what happened in Egypt. Just like what happened in Egypt is a blueprint for the last redemption in our times. Folks, this is an amazing idea. Israel is talking about going into Rafah, into Rafiah. Egypt is threatening Israel day in and day out. If you come in, it's going to be war. They've been preparing for a war against Israel for some years already. And they are a real army. They are a real threat to the Jewish people. So this is an amazing idea. I believe that this is a possibility, that what King Solomon said, that there will come a day, that there will be an awakening in the north with the war in Lebanon, Hezbollah, and awakening in the south by Hamas and Egypt. And once again, just like in Egypt, there was a need because they destroyed the last connection of the divine presence in the time of Abraham with the kidnapping of Sarah. And once again, we're talking about a kidnapping triggering this event. So too, the same redemption that happened in Egypt during the time of Moses, when the divine presence returned. This, we are on the footstep, we are on the cusp of this happening once again. Stay tuned, change ourselves, repent, do our best that we can, pray, learn Torah, change ourselves, and may we see this final stage of the redemption of the divine presence, once again returning and bringing us the final redemption on the heels of Israel-Egypt battle.